If I were to tell you that gray wolves save an entire national park, you would probably ask, how does an animal such as the gray wolf save an entire national park? The purpose of my speech today is to inform you of the role of the gray wolf in the Yellowstone National Park and how its extinction can devastate the entire ecosystem. Oftentimes, we as humans try to eliminate things in our life that seem scary when in the end it's the very thing that was holding us together. This was the very case with the gray wolf in the Yellowstone National Park. The gray wolf is a ruthless predator, although it is pivotal to the ecosystem and balancing the ecosystem. In my speech today, I hope to inform you of how the gray wolf went extinct and how its extinction devastated the ecosystem and how its reintroduction turned everything around. The wolf is a top predator in the Yellowstone Park, meaning it is at the top of the food chain. According to an article of Wolves by Yellowstone by National Geographic, in the 1920s, during the westward expansion, these wolves were seen as a great threat to the ranchers and to their well-being. So these ranchers began to slowly kill wolves one by one until the entire wolf population was extinct. With this top predator being removed from the ecosystem and the food chain, the Yellowstone National Park as we know and love it began to self-destruct. In order to properly understand the role of the wolf in the Yellowstone National Park, I'm going to explain how its extinction devastated the entire ecosystem. As cited by Douglas Smith on California Wolf Center, the wolf is a keystone species and removing it can devastate the entire ecosystem down to the grasses. Now that the wolf is gone, the elk has no predator to regulate its population. So the elk population is now soaring at record highs. And according to an article, Wolves of Yellowstone by National Geographic, the elk's diet consists of a variety of shrubs, grasses, and trees. With the elk population being at record highs, they're now overgrazing and they're devastating the vegetation. With the vegetation being destroyed, these small animals such as rats, rabbits, and birds, they have no place to hide for protection from their predators, devastating their population. And the grizzly bear also, that once fed on berries and a variety of other vegetation for the hibernation, now has no food to store for the long, hard winter. Grizzly bears also used to rely on salmon, and the salmon population has been destroyed because of the elk once again. The elk that were once cautious by riversides now linger on the banks of these rivers for long periods of time, causing massive erosion to the riverbanks. These rivers are beginning to expand out of control. And not only that, but the water is becoming muddy and contaminated, not only devastating the population of the salmon, but of every other fish. Now that the wolves are being reintroduced to the Yellowstone National Park, is having great positive effects. The same way that the extinction had negative effects, the reintroduction is having positive effect. There is now up to 100 wolves in the Yellowstone National Park, and the results are astounding. According to an article from National Yellowstone National Park by Brody Farquhar, a researcher from the University of California, the increase of wolves has had a positive effect on all of the animals, from the ravens all the way up to grizzly bears. These small animals that once were starving during the winter because of no vegetation can now eat vegetation. They're now eating the elk that the wolves are killing. And to end, I would like to remind you that the role of the gray wolf in the Yellowstone National Park is not merely to howl and make the hair stand up on the back of your head, but it is to keep the entire ecosystem in balance. I hope today that I informed you of how the gray wolf went extinct, how its extinction devastated the entire ecosystem, and how its reintroduction turned everything around. I believe that we can all take something from the story of the gray wolf and apply it to our lives, that not everything that seems to be scary and confusing is meant to destroy us, but sometimes it's the very thing that holds us together. And to end, I would like to read a verse from Romans 8:28. And we know that all things work together to good to them that love God, to them that are called according to his purpose.